when trust is tested. Isabel Hartman stepped through the glass doors of a modest branch of Keystone Trust Bank, a financial institution she had painstakingly built from the ground up over the past 20 years. The sun hung low in the sky, casting elongated shadows across the marble floor as the quiet hum of the automatic entrance faded behind her. Her sneakers squeaked softly against the polished stone as she made her way toward the front counter, adjusting the light gray cardigan that rested comfortably over her shoulders. This wasn't a day meant for ceremony or spectacle. There were no business meetings on her calendar, no urgent crises awaiting her intervention. She was here simply to make a withdrawal from her personal account, an ordinary transaction, the kind that millions of customers performed across America every day. And that was the point. Isabel had spent her career insisting that Keystone Trust serve everyone with fairness, dignity, and transparency. It had been her founding principle, the very foundation upon which she had built the bank's reputation. She prided herself on being approachable, ensuring that her executive suite never felt distant from the customers who entrusted their livelihoods to the institution. This branch was a testament to that philosophy. She had selected the location herself, approved every design detail, and shook the hands of each employee at the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Today, though, she wasn't wearing her tailored navy blue power suit. There was no gold pin identifying her as CEO. She wasn't looking to command a room or draw attention. She wanted to see, firsthand, that Keystone Trust lived up to its promises. The lobby was quiet, clean lines, tasteful decor, calming earth tones. A few customers waited at desks toward the back, engaged in quiet conversations. The smell of fresh coffee lingered in the air from the refreshment stand nearby. Isabel's presence, dressed down in jeans and sneakers, went unnoticed as she approached the counter. She carried herself with practiced neutrality, smiling politely as she waited for the young teller behind the counter to acknowledge her. The teller, her name tag read Megan Wallace, barely glanced up from her computer screen. Her fingers tapped noisily at the keyboard as she muttered a perfunctory, "One moment, please," without offering so much as a smile. Isabel nodded, folding her hands in front of her patiently. She wasn't here to flash authority or pull rank. She was here to be a customer. Just a customer. After a moment, Megan pushed a clipboard toward her without lifting her eyes. "Fill this out," she said, her tone clipped, distracted. Isabel accepted the form with a polite nod. Name, account number, withdrawal amount. Simple enough. She filled it out neatly, requesting a withdrawal of $5,000 from her personal savings account. It wasn't a large amount, but enough to trigger an identity verification check. As she slid the clipboard back across the counter, Megan finally took her ID. A flicker of something crossed her face, uncertainty, confusion, as she scanned Isabel's driver's license. Then, without a word, Megan rose from her stool and disappeared through a frosted glass door marked Authorized Personnel Only. Isabel exhaled slowly, resting her hands lightly on the counter. She told herself it was a routine verification, but something about Megan's abruptness felt off. Isabel had been banking at Keystone Trust since day one. She had opened this branch herself. She knew every policy, every procedure, and yet, something wasn't right. Several minutes passed before Megan returned. But she wasn't alone. A tall, thin man in a crisp navy suit accompanied her. His name tag read Brian Caldwell, and Isabel recognized him immediately as the branch manager, a man she had personally interviewed and hired. His expression was polite but tense as he offered a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Good afternoon, Miss Hartman," Brian greeted, his tone overly formal. "I understand you're requesting a withdrawal of $5,000. Isabel nodded, maintaining her composure. "That's correct. From my personal account." Brian's fingers tightened around the clipboard as he gave a measured nod. "May I take another look at your ID?" Isabel's jaw tensed slightly. "You already have it," she said evenly. Megan took it with her. Brian ignored the comment. He lifted the ID toward the light, as if looking for signs of forgery. Isabel watched him closely. This wasn't standard procedure. Not for a simple withdrawal. Not for an account holder in good standing. And certainly not for the person who founded the entire institution. "What is your occupation, Miss Hartman?" Brian asked abruptly. Isabel's brows lifted. "I'm the president and CEO of Keystone Trust," she answered calmly, though her tone had sharpened ever so slightly. Brian nodded slowly, glancing toward Megan as if seeking silent confirmation. And is this a personal account or a business account? It's a personal account, Isabel replied, her patience thinning. The account type is listed right there on the form. Brian continued to examine the ID unnecessarily. The lobby had grown quiet, uncomfortably so. The normal hum of conversation and activity seemed to have paused, replaced by a tension that Isabel felt in her shoulders. He lowered the ID but didn't hand it back. You mentioned you're the CEO of Keystone Trust. Do you mind telling me how long you've held that position? Isabel's fingers tapped lightly against the counter. Since its founding, 20 years. Brian's head tilted as if considering her response. And this is your first time banking with us at this branch. Isabel's stomach nodded. She took a slow breath before replying. No, I've banked here since the day it opened. I selected this location personally. There was a pause, a long, uncomfortable one, before Brian finally said, and you're withdrawing $5,000 from your personal account. Isabel's teeth pressed together as she forced herself to remain composed. Yes, as indicated on the form. Is there a problem? Brian set the clipboard down, his fingers lingering over the edge of the paper. We'll need to verify some additional information before proceeding. Isabel blinked, incredulous. I've already provided my identification and account number. What else do you require? Brian hesitated for a moment, then asked, Can you tell me the amount of your last deposit? Isabel's composure faltered slightly. I don't have that number memorized, she replied slowly. But you have access to my account records. You can look it up. Brian nodded as if her answer was somehow inadequate. It's just a precaution, he said smoothly. We take security very seriously. Isabel's hands tightened around the counter's edge. She knew Keystone's security policies. She had written them. And this wasn't standard procedure. Not for a customer in good standing. Not for a withdrawal of $5,000. This wasn't about policy. This was something else. She took a step back, inhaling deeply. Brian, what exactly is going on here? He offered her a thin smile that didn't reach his eyes. We're simply following procedure. Isabel's voice lowered, hardening. Procedure? Or prejudice? Brian's face reddened slightly, but he maintained his professional mask. He slid another clipboard toward her. If you could fill out this additional form. No, Isabel said sharply, her voice cutting through the lobby's stillness. I won't. Brian froze, uncertain. Isabel reached into her bag and withdrew her phone, tapping the screen to activate the camera. She held it up, recording her calm but firm words. I am being denied access to my personal account at Keystone Trust despite providing government-issued identification and having a long-standing history with this branch. Brian's complexion paled. Megan looked as though she wanted to disappear. Isabel shifted the camera toward the security guard now approaching from across the room. And you, she said, addressing him directly. You've been called over because? The guard hesitated. I'm here to ensure everything goes smoothly, he replied carefully. Isabel's gaze didn't waver. Or to ensure that I leave quietly? The guard swallowed hard, but said nothing. Isabel turned back to Brian. This is unacceptable. I built this bank. I signed off on this branch. I personally hired you, Brian. And yet you're treating me like an imposter. There was a long silence. Every eye in the lobby was on them now. You're making a mistake, Isabel continued, lowering the phone but not turning it off. A serious mistake. Brian opened his mouth to respond, but Isabel cut him off. Process the transaction. Now. He hesitated. Then, finally, he moved. He keyed in the account information, verified the withdrawal, and counted out the cash with trembling hands. Isabel took the envelope without a word. She turned toward the lobby, raising her voice just enough to be heard. This isn't about money. It's about respect. About dignity. Without another glance at Brian, she walked out of the bank. The fallout was swift. An emergency leadership meeting was called the next morning. Brian Caldwell was terminated. Megan Wallace resigned. Mandatory bias training was implemented across all Keystone Trust branches. An internal audit revealed similar incidents at other locations, each one addressed with immediate corrective action. Isabel made certain the changes weren't superficial. Keystone Trust redefined its customer service protocols, emphasizing equity and accountability at every level. But Isabel never forgot that day. It served as a stark reminder that no institution, no matter how well-intentioned, is immune to complacency. Change requires vigilance, courage, and the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. And Isabel Hartman was never one to shy away from doing what was right.